Hello all of you. So plus one students, hope you all will be expecting this class because last class the rest of the 5 subjects has been taken and English now this week we are carrying on, and in the previous class we have taken Once Upon a Time, the poem. Hope still you all will be enjoying what a kind of time the Once Upon a Time is going to be, and given the test as well as given the homework, some of the people have posted the test and corrected it and posted to you back, and some of the people, let me come to the point directly, some of the people have not done their homework or test or whatever it is going to be. The fact, now let me repeating the information, I will be putting this message in WhatsApp group or whatever it is going to be. If tomorrow, I mean every Saturday you will be given the question paper where you can write the exam by Saturday itself, if not by Sunday. We will expect to post it by Sunday as well, if not by Monday. While you are writing the exam, for example, 5 subjects have gone in this week. Math, Tamil, English, Maths, Physics, Chemistry, 5 subject means 5 question paper, 5 into 10, 50 question papers will be given to you. 50 question papers will be given to you. And the thing is, you have to write all the 5 tests, 10 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks, like that. Whether you are going to write the test in a paper or you are going to write the test in a notebook, separate notebook, write your name first, standard, group or section, then you write the subject, and then you all these things should be written in the right top corner of the page. In the left top corner of the page we expect the date. In the center you write the weekly test. For example, weekly test, last time weekly test 4 has been written, and whatever the weekly test number it is going to be, that number should be put down. And if the test is not going to be covered up in a single page, you are going to the next page, means next page you write the test and put the page number as 2 and write your name also on the page, so that while you are sending to me, I will be forwarding all these subjects to the concerned teachers and they will be correcting and sending back to us, and we will be sending back to you. So this is a difficult process which we are doing in this pandemic situation. So try to understand all this situation, and while you are sending your homeworks or the test paper, send it properly so that we can correct it conveniently. Certain papers we have not corrected because there is no name, we don't know who sent that. Certain papers has been corrected by the teachers, but we don't know whose paper it is, so that we could not send it back to you. Right? And in the WhatsApp I have put down all your comments, send it in such a way. Right? With this, keep all this instruction in your mind, and we expect the outcoming test papers will be in such a good condition. 1. Coming to the lesson. First unit poem has been completed. Now first unit prose, the portrait of a lady. Nothing but a talk, a description about a lady. Let us see who the lady is in this lesson. By the author Khushwant Singh. See, there is a warm-up activity. About nuclear family and joint family. Before coming to the warm-up activity, let us see about the author Khushwant Singh. Right, about the author Khushwant Singh. And I don't know how far these plus one students were aware about Khushwant Singh, but while we are studying the colleges and other things, I should just remember you 2 authors in this, 2 Indian writers. That is what the most important thing, 2 Indian writers. One is Khushwant Singh, let me tell about the other person soon. Khushwant Singh is an Indian novelist. Khushwant Singh is an Indian novelist and a lawyer. But you see, a lot to be known about him. He is not only a novelist, not only a lawyer, but look at more and more about him. He studied at St. Stephen's College, one of the renowned college right from the starting of the era to till date. Right from starting of the era to till date, St. Stephen which means the previous era. Till date, St. Stephen's College at Delhi means the number one college at Delhi, and King's College at London, PG at King's College at London. You may not aware about that, about the Brooklyn University and about the Oxford University. This is affiliated to Oxford, right? This is affiliated to Oxford University at London. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1947. That's what I say. He is not only a lawyer, he is not only a novelist. We must have a detailed description about this man, because while you are writing the paragraph answer, you must mention at least a couple of lines about him. He joined the Indian Foreign Service at 1947. What is that Indian Foreign Service? Nothing but Indian Administrative Service, IAS, Indian Police Service, IPS, Indian Foreign Service, IFS. So the top priority rankers will be going for IAS, next IPS, next IFS, right? Important one mark in expansion, right? As a writer, he is best known for his keen secularism and sarcasm and love for poetry. Three things. As a writer, see, he is best known for three things. One thing is secularism. Secularism is nothing but not talking about any particular religion, not speaking favor about any particular religion. In Tamil we used to say mother sarbinmai, right? Like that. Without talking about a single, without being favor to a single religion, right? That is what called secularism. And sarcasm means making comic about somebody. He is a man of like that. Oh, he is like this, he is like that. Making an attempt to mock at others. That is what called sarcasm. And he is best known for his keen secularism, sarcasm, and for the love for poetry. Because last poetry, if you have time, you go and take it and just rewind the class. You will be enjoying each and every lines while we are teaching. That is a love for poetry. It used to have a good taste while you are cultivate a habit of reading. No, you will be having a very good taste for that. He served as the editor of several literary and news magazines, as well as 2 newspapers. So he serviced as a news editor for 2 newspapers, for news magazines, and several literary, nothing but literature based work. So Khushwant Singh was awarded with, Indian literary, he got all the Indian literary awards. Khushwant Singh was awarded with Padma Bhushan in 1974 for his work, and Padma Vibhushan by the Government of India, and Sahitya Academy Fellowship by Sahitya Academy of India. Right? The mark of Vishnu, this is what the lesson in old plus 2 book. Last year plus 2 there was a new textbook has been introduced, last year plus 2. If you have time, you collect the old plus 2 textbook. The mark of Vishnu, it is an exemplary prose. And we thought that for over 16 sets of people, right from 2006 to 2018, that lesson was been thought to this lesson would have been taught by all the English teachers. One of the renowned work of this person, Khushwant Singh. A history of Sikhs is nothing but the Sikh people. It is another important work, and the train to Pakistan. Because in those days, train to Pakistan means that is mode of transport. A lot of engaging between the people, engaging the means friendship as well as arrogant activities. Everything will happen in the train to Pakistan. And success mantra, and we Indians and death at my doorstep are some of his brilliant works. So if you have time, nothing, you just read the summary of these topics, you will be getting a wonderful idea. So don't think that, sir, so don't think like that. You must have a habit of reading such a kind of works. Right? Now let us go to the warm-up activity. Nuclear family and joint family. See, what is a nuclear family? This side, father, mother and kid. And nowadays it is rare to have two kids. So they are just settled down with one kid. This is what a nuclear family. And what is a joint family? Papa, mama, which means in Hindi, father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, siblings. And not only this joint family ends with this is a minimum circle of joint family, and even the uncles will be there, Chitapa, Peripa, like that. The uncles and aunts and their siblings, in fact they does not call siblings, they are called cousins. Everybody will be there in the joint family. So look at here. Based on the visuals given above, give 5 words and phrases each to describe these 2 family types. So, a phrase, I like to live in a nuclear family, I like the joint family. So, I am already in joint family. I want to live in joint family. Like this, you can frame a few words. This is good, this is bad, or this is not in trend, this is in trend. Like this, you can give a lot of words and phrases. So write by your own. Write by your own in these columns, and you can post it. Going to the text. Right, this portrait of a lady, I want to give a good introduction about a good prose, in fact. Here the portrait of the lady is nothing but a portrait of a grandmother. And this portrait of the lady prose is an autobiography of Khushwant Singh that is not mentioned in the about the author part. This is an autobiography of Khushwant Singh, and here the portrait of the lady is nothing but he is portraying, the author Khushwant Singh is portraying about his own grandmother. Okay, so this lesson is about a description by the grandson Khushwant Singh about his grandmother. What kind of relationship does they have, how his grandmother is, what kind of activities they used to involve, how this grandmother used to behave. Like that, the entire portrait of the grandmother of Khushwant Singh will be described in this beautiful prose. Right? Remember, it is an autobiography. While you are writing the summary or paragraph writing or any other thing, you can use these kind of hint words. You must be able to use these kind of hint words. Right? Right. Here is a story that brings out the bond between the author and his loving grandmother. So this is a story. The portrait of the lady is a description of a story which brought out the bond between, the relationship between the author Khushwant Singh and his loving grandmother. Now you can understood that this is an autobiography, right? Coming to the next introduction para. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. My grandmother, like everybody grandmother, was an old woman. See what a common description he is giving, right? As your grandmother, my grandmother is an old woman. And one more thing you can learn here, the homophones. What is the woman, not a homophones, the difference. What is a singular plural? What is a woman? What is a women? W-O-M-A-N. It should be pronounced as woman. W-O-M-E-N. That should be pronounced as women. Woman means singular, M-E-N. Women means plural. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years. She had been old and wrinkled for the 20 years that I had known her. For the past 20 years, she was living with the wrinkled face. Now you can see how old this grandmother is going to be. She was a grandmother, right? People said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband. Think about that. People say that who? His father and mother used to say, your grandmother was a pretty woman in those days while we are a small boys. Right? Like that you used to see, or your grandmother used to, herself will be saying that, while I was a young lady, I used to do like this, I used to do like that, right? So this author heard about that. People say that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband. But that was hard to believe. நம்பத மாதிரியே இல்லையே அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறார். Because grandmother was such a grand grandmother. My grandfather, a word about his grandfather here. My grandfather portrait hung above the mantelpiece in the drawing room. Nothing but mantelpiece means what we used to say madam in house, where the people will be placing the lamp there, right? That is what called the mantelpiece in the drawing room. Mantelpiece, a place or a shelf. A place or shelves to keep the light. Underline the important words and write down the meanings, and if the font is not clear for you, just listen to the pronunciation which we are giving. Underline the words in the textbook and then write the explanation, so that once if you are reading down, if this word is going to be asked in any kind of synonym or antonym, it will be easy for you to proceed, right? Follow this kind of procedure which will be helpful to you to get good marks. He wore a big turban. Turban means a cloth which we used to roll it in our head. He is long, white, and he wore a big turban and a loose fitting clothes. Usually old people will be wearing that loose fitting clothes. They won't wear like us as tight as we are wearing. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest. See, his long white beard cover the best part of his chest. Up to this, his grandfather is having the beard. That is what the description he is giving. And he looked at least 100 years old. and he looked at least 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person, who would have a wife or children. So if you look at a person means நாம சொல்லுவோம்ல அந்தால பார்த்தா பஞ்சபரதேசி மாதிரி இருக்கிற, like that we won't think that that particular man will be having a family or something like that. Like that this particular person is looking as age old as to look like. He looked as if he could only have lots and lot of grandchildren. Okay, while looking age old, we can confirm that he will be having a lot and lots of grandchildren. So as per my grandmother being young and pretty, the thought was almost revolting. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child. So whenever we are going to sit with the grandmother and grandfather at the kids age, they used to tell you lot of stories, what they did in their younger days, what has happened in the usual days. Like that they used to describe everything. Right. So she often told that, often means every now and then. Right. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child. So you all know during the childish days what are the games that used to be played by the boys as well as girls. That seemed to be quite absurd and undignified on her part, and we treated it like fables of the prophets she used to tell us. Absurd means not accepting thing, not acceptable. An unacceptable thing, and undignified means the same meaning, which is unable to accept, undignified on her part. And we means not only Kushwan Singh, the boys of the age, we treated her part and we treated it like the fables of the prophets she used to tell us. Fables means short stories. Short stories, note it down. All these things will be helpful in the synonym and the antonym. And short stories of the prophets she used to tell us. So prophets means fortune teller. Fortune teller, she used to tell us. She had, and let us move to the next para. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. So look at here, his grandmother is short, fat and slightly bent. Usually all the grandmothers, age-old grandmothers will be bent. Don't talk about the grandmother who is at the 45. Your grandmother may be 45 or 50. She will be standing like this. Don't talk about that grandmother. This is the grandmother who is in the 70s, 80s. No, you look at them, they will be somewhat bending. That is what the description. Her face was crisscross of wrinkles. See, people, this is cheek and this is skin. Wrinkles means it will be somewhat like this, and crisscross of wrinkles means you can look at the photo of Anna Teresa. Her face used to have too much of wrinkles. That is what called the crisscross of wrinkles. Running from everywhere to everywhere. Her entire body used to be like that, right? Running from everywhere to everywhere. No, we were certain she had always been as we had known her. So no, and we used to know that she remains in the same posture. That is what he is portraying the lady. So she remains in the same posture as for a long time as we are seeing them. Old and so terribly old and so terribly old that she could not have grown older. Older, she became older, and how old she is, she cannot grew older than this. So she is such a old lady. That is what this is a superlative description. This is a superlative description. Old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older than this. Older, and had stayed at the same age of 20 years for the past 20 years. She could never been pretty. She could never been pretty, but she always beautiful. She could never been pretty, but she was always beautiful. For the past 20 years, Kushan Singh was seeing his grandmother. She was grandmother. How much was grandmother? Bent grandmother for the past 20 years. If Kushan Singh is going to see at the age of 10 means, when Kushan Singh is going to be 30 years old, she was a grown up grandmother. She hobbled about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop, and the other telling the beads of her rosary. Here she hobbled about the house in spotless white. And what is that spotless white? We should understand what is hobbling. She is hobbled about the house means walking unsteadily. See, if the font which I am writing is not clear, look at the words which I am pronouncing. Walking unsteadily. Underline the word in the textbook and write the meaning. Walking unsteadily about the house in spotless white. About the house in spotless white. What is spotless white? You can't find any kind of darkness in the hair or in the skin or in the dress, right? The extreme white has wear. Such an age-old lady, and she is wearing the white dress. So she is walking unsteadily about the house in spotless white, with one hand resting on her waist. So one hand resting on her waist. People used to say, "Enna vayasaicha adukula idupla kai vechita." That's how people used to ask. No, the same thing. Hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop, and the other telling the beads of her rosary. So let me pause the lesson with this. The time limit has been crossed. Let me stop with this. The thing is very simple homework, not a tough homework. Write the warm-up activity, study the synonyms as well as antonyms of the underlined words, of the important words, and let me come to the other class and describe this portrait of the lady. Let us see how Kushan Singh was describing the lady. In the meantime, still some of the people didn't get your textbook. Come to your school, pay your minimum first term fees and collect your textbook, so that it will be helpful for you to study as well as to write the test and prepare for the future, right? So try to get those who didn't get the book, come to school and collect your textbook at the earliest. Thank you.
Character, knowledge, confidence. SRK Higher Secondary School, Karikalampakam.
I love my school, SRK. Best of the best is SRK. Bright future means SRK. Quality education, SRK. Knowledge power lasts forever. Textbook rentals, easy portion. Lovely teachers and for wisdom. What's the culture we will start? I love my school, SRK. Best of the best is SRK. Bright future means
Admission is going on from pre-KG to 12th standard. Group A1A, Maths, Physics, Chemistry, Biology. Group A1B, Physics, Chemistry, Computer Science and Biology. Group A2, Maths, Physics, Chemistry and Computer Science. Group A3, Accountancy, Economics, Commerce and Computer Application. SRK Higher Secondary School, 45/7, Dilliyanur Main Road, Karikalampakkam, Puducherry 7.